I want to make a denim skirt, but it can't be that simple, can it? Because I want buttons down the front.
I'm Hayley, I'm always in the craft room, and in last week's vlog, I prepped the pattern, cut and basted my skirt. Today we're going to sort out the fit, add a lining and some buttons, and style the finished skirt for all 4 seasons. I hope you enjoy.
I've basted the side seams together and I wanted to show you how it's looking. I'm so pleased. Well, hello there. It's a new day. It's a new do. And I've been looking at this skirt and I think it's too big. So I think it's because it's a stretch woven and this does have quite a lot of stretch. If I put it on around me and then lift it up to where it will sit with the waistband, I was thinking I'll just leave it, it'll be fine. That will not be fine, will it? I think we need to take 4 centimetres out of this, and I've also been thinking about the lining. So some of you may recall my black tweed skirt, I had to repair the lining, and I think that's because it was a rayon Bemberg, it was under quite a lot of strain around the waist, and so I decided rayon Bemberg is not the way to go. I want something stronger, and I found this polyester peach skin in my stash. It was from Joann's in the States when I was on holiday one time, and I think that will be a lot sturdier and hopefully last longer. I was thinking, is polyester going to be annoying in the summer? But actually, I don't think it will. With bare legs, I think it will be fine. Also, so many updates because my mind has been whirring. The buttons, I don't think I've got enough. I'm really loving this slightly longer length. If I tilt, I'll show you. So, I mean, ignore everything else. I'm about to go to the gym. Isn't that a good length? It's like just below the knee, and I've only got 4 buttons, which that will just no way be enough. If we put one on the waistband, then I'll need 1 right there. 3 buttons on this whole skirt will look ridiculous. So, yeah. That's also confused me. So next steps, I am going to cut out the lining in the same size as the skirt, like the original pattern pieces, because obviously that is a woven with no stretch. So I think that will need to be bigger. The skirt, I'm just going to run in the side seams with a basting stitch, 1 centimetre on the double on each side to remove 4, that's 3 Hayley, 4 centimetres from all the way around, and then we will reconvene. Okay, I've removed 4 centimetres from the skirt at the waistline all the way basically down to the side seams, and I think that is so much better. It's still got some give, it definitely doesn't feel too tight, but it's not moving up and down and sliding all over the place. I think that is much better. And yeah, I'm so pleased with how this is looking. I've been thinking about the waistband. I can't cut it in one piece, as in on the fold, all the way around to the front, because I don't have enough fabric anymore. I've got plenty of fabric, but no full width pieces. So I think I'm going to do a centre back seam in the waistband. Now there isn't a centre back seam on the skirt, but if I don't top stitch it, who's going to notice? I think that will be fine. And the advantage of that is that if I just find the centre of the skirt back, put the join there, I can then finagle the front, because obviously the original pattern piece has got an overlap on it, because how you're intended to do it is with a button closure and an invisible zip. So there's definitely going to be some, messing with it. And I will want these ends to be flush with the front. There's a bit to work out, but the main thing is that if I can centre the centre back seam, get it on, then I can mess with it in situ. So I'm going to cut the waistband. I can't decide whether to fuse the waistband. My rational brain is saying, you don't want it to stretch out, fuse it, stabilise it. You want the waistband very stable. But Hayley, that loves comfort, is saying, oh, a nice stretchy waistband, that sounds cosy. Not sure. What about a knit fusible? So it's still got a little bit of stretch. Does that defeat the object? It can't do, else they wouldn't sell knit fusible, would they? Still more to think about. Anyway, very pleased with these side seams. So I'm going to sew these permanently, decide whether to top stitch the side seams. I'm actually thinking not. I've been looking at some ready-to-wear inspiration, and a lot of places have top stitching everywhere. And I mean, I saw a Donna Karan one where they top stitched the darts and did bar tacks at the end of the darts and things. And don't get me wrong, it looks stunning, but it was more of a statement piece. And it was like top tucked in, the skirt as the star of the show. And I'm looking for more of a supporting actor role, because I do generally wear patterns on top. So I think I want this to be more subtle and blending in. So I'm going to sew the side seams properly, press them open, and then make the lining. Side seams are sewn and I have made up the lining, and I have cut the front with a bit extra where the placket goes. I was thinking about whether I should have tucked the lining behind the placket. So here is the inside of the skirt. You can see here's the pocket. And I was initially thinking I should have tucked the lining in there, but now I've given it some more thought. I do think I want it hanging free. So I've left an allowance to do a hem. And I think on the side of the underlap, I will do a hem and stop it a centimetre or so away from the edge. On the side with the overlap, I will stop it at the seam allowance of the placket. So I'm just comparing it now size-wise to the outer, and they're really similar. So I think what I'm going to do is just baste this lining along the top edge of the waistband on the inside, of where the waistband will go on the inside, and then it will just hang free from the waistband. So if I flip this over like that, just sew them together as almost an underlining and then treat them as one. Sorry, you can probably tell from my pink nose that I just had a sneezing fit. Anyway, these two match pretty well along the top. So the first thing I'm going to do is overlock around the whole edge of this, top, sides, front, get the seams and the darts going the way I want them to go, and then I'm going to baste them together and we'll figure out this front placket situation. That might be a job for later or tomorrow though. Well, hello there. I have a lot to catch you up on. First of all, today is the first day I've tried to style my own hair since I got the bob cut. I'm not convinced. But anyway, I have made good progress on the skirt. So yesterday was Saturday and I did not vlog because the kids were in here with me having Saturday sewing club. They were busy working away on their own thing, making clothes for stuffed toys. So I didn't want to tell them to stop what they were doing so I could constantly update you. So we'll have a little catch up now. I've made really good progress with the skirt. So the first thing I did, as I told you, is I was going to baste the lining to the inside. I did that all around the top, and then I was ready to start on the waistband. So I say I've got a lot of updates. Basically all I've done is basted the lining in and put the waistband on, but the waistband was a big job because I had to join it at the centre back. You can probably see the seam there, and I also interfaced it. I did in the end go for the knit interfacing because I just thought it would be comfortable to have a waistband with a little bit of stretch. But what I did do, So I cut the waistband really long, and then at the end, I folded it in half, like right sides together, and sewed a straight line so I could flip it and get this nice straight square corner. And just at this bit where the buttonhole is going to go, on both ends, I fused a piece of the really rigid interfacing that I've used on the front placket. So where the button and the buttonhole will be sewn, there is no give, and elsewhere there's just a bit less than there is in the denim overall, because the interfacing does take some of it away, but it does still have a little bit of stretch for comfort. Now I've been thinking about this going, oh, it's going to be so comfy because it's stretch woven, but I've lined it in a normal woven, so I don't know if that will cancel it out. But anyway, I basted the lining all the way around the top. I folded in the edges and just did a simple hem on the lining. I did decide to leave it hanging free. I could, if I wanted to, hand stitch it and join it there, but I actually think it sliding about as I walk is preferable. We'll see if that's not the case, but I've always got the option to tack it down if I want to. On the side with the underlap, I did it almost all the way to the edge. Can you see there? That's the start of the lining, so it's really close. So that will go that way round, and then on the side that will have the buttonholes, I stopped it shy of the placket so that there's no chance it would come and creep out in front. So that means that inside it should be lined pretty much all the way down the centre front so it doesn't catch on my tights, but there'll be none sticking out here. I hope that that works. When I did the top stitching for the waistband, I have had a bit of an issue. So the waistband is obviously a really long rectangle. As I have said, I know this waistband is completely cut flat. There's no shaping, which on my particular body shape works better than a curved waistband. So I actually like it. I know it doesn't suit a lot of people and it leads to gaping at the back, but not so with me. But when I went to top stitch it, I did not do it all the way around in one. So I've seen instructions to do it like finish. And my issue with that is even with the IDT on my machine, if I sew one row of top stitching going that way and then turn and go back that way, I just get the slightest kind of twisty rippling on the waistband. So I did a short edge, a long edge, tied off, and then a long edge and a short edge and tied off so that all the stitching was going in the same direction. It was only when I finished that I looked at the inside and saw that I have got a tension problem with these both rows of stitching. Can you see how it's pulling the needle thread through to the bobbin side? It looks pretty bad, doesn't it? Now, when I've had this issue, not with top stitching thread, just with normal sewing, when I've tugged on this, it's been quite loose and it's come away quite easily. This is not coming away easily at all. It actually looks like it would be really tricky to unpick. Also, if this stitching does fail and I need to redo it, it will be a really easy job to do it even when the skirt is finished, because it's just top stitching on a fully exposed waistband. It's not like I'm going to join anything afterwards or do anything that makes this harder to get to. So on the basis that it looks great from the outside, it seems to be holding firm and it would be difficult to unpick and it will be easy to redo if needs be, I'm going to leave it. If I get a problem with it later on, like I say, I can quickly redo it, but I don't want to try and unpick it and potentially make a mess of the fabric. Also, I'm not sure how much top stitching thread I've got left. The reels of Gutermann top stitch thread aren't very long. I can't remember how many meters they are, but it's the same size spool as a normal roll of thread, but you don't fit as much on. The last update I have for you is another bit of a boo-boo. So I did not have enough of these wooden buttons. I only had 4, and as I've tried the dress on, I've decided I really like it, the skirt, I've decided I really like it a bit longer. So I only had 4 buttons. I tried it on, you can see some little markings on there. I pinned it all and I decided I wanted 6 buttons. So I went to Hobbycraft and ended up buying some new buttons, which I love. I don't know, would you call these horn? I'm going to try and block my face so that it focuses on the button. And what I love about them is that they're matte. They're not shiny at all. I just love them. I looked at loads of ready-to-wear inspiration, and a lot of denim skirts had like jeans buttons, the metal ones. I don't want those because I have a jacket with jeans buttons on that I think I might wear with this, and I think it would look weird with the same buttons. Do you know what I mean? So I thought these went so nicely and looked lovely. But can you see the boo-boo? I needed 22mm buttons, and that's what I spaced the placket for. And I accidentally bought 24mm buttons, which does not sound like a big difference, but when your top stitching is that close, it kind of is. Now, it did pose a problem with buttonholes. I did a little sample with the interfacing in the middle. It's 2 layers, and I actually stitched in the lines so that I could work out where to stop and start. You possibly can't see, but at the bottom I did my first buttonhole, which I did actually open in blue thread just to see how we were doing. And then I managed to find a reel of Gutterman in my drawer that was like almost the same colour as the top stitching thread. This is normal thread, it's not top stitching. And I think the colour match is absolutely fine. So the first automatic buttonhole I did was this middle one, and I did it with this button in the buttonhole foot. And as you can see, it's really wide, like it's touching the top stitching. Don't love that. So what I did was I found a 22mm button instead, put that in the buttonhole foot so that it made this other sample, which is just a touch narrower. Now, it's really not a big difference, is it? But it is a big difference in terms of visuals, and I can confirm, obviously the 22mm button fits through it, but so does the 24mm. I've checked, it works. So I'm actually going to do the slightly smaller buttonhole. I'm going to have to be so careful with the placement because look how close it is to the top stitching. So basically, now I've got the lining in and the waistband on, I think all I've got to do is the buttonhole, sew the buttons on, and then hem it. If you saw my last Craft Room Diaries where I made a polo dress, you will know I had an awful time with the buttonholes, and I'm dreading it again. I've done 3 samples that all went perfect, but this is flat. This is lumpy bumpy and it stops. Like we've got seam allowances turned in there, we've got top stitching. I am trepidatious to say the least, and what I really want to focus on is dropping the needle at the same point each time. And I find on my buttonhole foot there's not anywhere obvious to line it up. I find that really tricky. I don't know whether to sew more samples or just go for it. And I also need to think about which way round I put it in the machine. I think I'm going to do it this way so that the foot's got more to grip on behind. Yeah, meh. That's the waistband. That's not even the placket. Oh, that's close, isn't it? And I will tuck the lining out of the way while I do it. So I think I'm going to do it that way round. I'm basically just procrastinating now because I don't want to do it. Also, I really liked how I'd done my hair, and then I watched back the last clip when I'd just come home from the hairdressers to see where we were up to. And I think I was aiming for textured. I think I've just achieved fluffy. Okay, to the buttonholes. Ready, steady, go! Oh, 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 oh. Disaster immediately. Oh my God, why? Because I haven't put the button in the back. Me and buttonholes, not friends. Go. Okay, it's turned the corner okay. Bar tack, yes. Are we ready? Buttonhole number 2, go. Okay, stitch number 23. We're off again. 4 done cooking on gas. Yeah. Go. Oh, perfect. We're doing so well. Oh, already this is trickier because the waistband is quite bulky. 3, 2, 1, go. Not convinced, it's going a lot slower than it was. What's it doing? It just feels like it's hung up. Let's try again. Okay, yes. It's going again, it's going again. Come on, little thing, you're doing really well. Yay, yay. Come on. Go sideways, go on, bar tack, yes! It worked! Oh, so pleased, so pleased. If I could give this machine a cookie, I would. In fact, the machine equivalent of a cookie is probably like oil. I should probably give it an oil. Would you look at 6 very good buttonholes? Phew. That was all a bit much. I'm going to have something to eat. Okay, I've had some food, I've had a bit of a deep breath and a chill. I seriously cannot believe how well that went. That is not my usual experience with buttonholes, as many of you will know. So, a couple of weeks ago, I was asking you all about buttonhole chisels and whether they're worth it, and mixed responses. And I said, I think I'm just going to borrow a few of my husband's chisels and give it a try. And a lot of you politely said, Hayley, they're just totally different things. And a buttonhole chisel is so much sharper than a used woodworking chisel, which I think is the key, that woodworking blunts them. Anyway, never one to be deterred by something like useful advice. I have been to the garage and procured myself 2 used woodworking chisels. We have a 10mm and a 12mm, and I did ask my husband for his very sharpest chisels. And thank you also to everyone who told me that you're not like whacking it with a mallet, you're just gently pressing, and that's sufficient. That was very good information that I certainly needed to hear. Anyway, I've got a sample here, and I'm just gonna try it. 12mm chisel doing absolutely nothing. Does it matter which way round you do it? Let's try both. Yeah, you all were right. Far too blunt. Achieved absolutely nothing. Do you know what the funniest thing is though? I went to the garage and was like, can I borrow your chisel? And he was like, what size? And I was like, small. And he gave me these 2. Never even inquired what I was doing with them. Do you know, if he came over here and said, can I use your sewing machine? I'd be like, why? Anyway, that was a fun little experiment. Guess we're back to the quick unpick and a pin, eh? Okay, I've been sewing buttons on, hence the safety glasses. I've done the bottom 4 buttons, and I've got to tell you, it was a struggle getting them buttoned up because these buttonholes are not quite big enough, as we discussed. 24mm buttons, 22mm buttonholes. So long story short, I definitely don't want to be doing this every time I take the skirt on and off because I think they'll get stretched out and look bad. So I am thinking for the top 2 buttons, I'm just going to get in and out of it like that. And then I'm going to put poppers on and buttons. But I do just need to check actually whether I can get it on and off. Hang on. Yes, perfect. That slipped on just fine. So if I do 2 poppers underneath and 2 buttons on top, loving it. Oh, yes. I've, of course, lost both the poppers and the other 2 buttons. I'm going to have a tidy up. Phew, I found them all. Right, I think black's going to be best, as invisible as possible under there. It's more important that these are super secure because I'm going to be tugging on those to do it up and to undo it. So I think I want to machine sew these on and hand sew the buttons on. So let's get a top and a bottom for both of those, and let's make sure I get it the right way around because I've done those backwards before, believe me. So here is how it is looking. I've got all of the buttons done, and these 2 just pop, open so that I can get it on and off easily. All of the others are fully functional. I really like the buttons I chose. I think they look great. The only thing that I still need to decide is the length, where to hem it, and also whether I want rear patch pockets. I have got some cut out and basically ready to go. I just haven't decided whether I want to put them on or not. But yeah, so far I'm absolutely loving it. Okay, I've just been having a look in the mirror and I'm gonna adjust where I've put these poppers because can you see how it's splaying? That's annoying. Can you see this gap here? So what I'm going to do is take that one off and put it more like there and move that one more like there, and then hopefully that will stay in line better because at the moment, can you see they're just pulling apart and that is ugly. I did look at button placement and a few ready to wear denim skirts had a waistband button and then another one immediately there, and that's probably why. Oh gosh, that looks so much better. I hope you can see it's starting to go really dark here. But what I have done is move the poppers right across all the way over. And then when they're done up, I'm getting it's all in a line again. And I also moved the position of this button on the underside because I noticed that it wasn't staying properly in line. Hem-wise, I'm just going to do 2 centimetres fold and top stitch. This is already overlocked, so I think that will be fine, but I'm really loving this longer length. And I also forgot I need to hem the lining. As for the rear patch pockets, I do think I want to add them, but I'm also nervous because, you know, I love it so much and it's basically done. And what if I ruin it all with some bad pocket placement? I did put some markings on of where I thought they ought to go. Of course, they've now rubbed off during construction. I have top stitched the hem, and I thought before I did that I ought to work out why my other machine was having such trouble with the waistband top stitching, and I worked it out. The bobbin is cracked. I don't know if you can see there if I stand out of shot that it is wonky, like one side goes higher than the other. Basically this is just loose, and so as it was spinning around, it was catching, and that was what was causing the problem. So this top stitching, I can confirm, is beautiful and invisible on the inside, as it should be when the tension is correct. So that's great. But now we need to look at pockets. I've pinned them on where I had initially marked the pockets, and I think they're too far apart. Basically, I just want to watch this back and see if I agree on camera. It's rear pocket placement attempt number 2. What do we think? Is that slightly better? I moved them in and I changed the angles a little bit as well. The pockets are on. That was kind of hard work because I had to pull the lining out the way so that I didn't catch that. And also there was just a lot of denim to manoeuvre. Definitely would have been easier at the beginning, but I just wasn't confident on the pocket placement. So there they are, all stitched on, and finally this garment is finished and I absolutely love it. So stand by for the big reveal.